Virgen de Guadalupe, the Holy Trinity, Saint Joseph, and Saint Teresa of Avila. These are all traditional saints you would see in Advent or in Christmas in Catholicism, in our tradition, in our culture. And I portray that a lot in my retablos. I like to keep it traditional. It's a lot of respect. This art form is hundreds of years old, and God was blessed me with this talent to be able to do something like this. And I was blessed to meet other different artists locally who do the same kind of artwork and teach me the traditional ways, teach me the traditional pigments, methods, and stuff, and the images as well. There's such a deep-rooted. It's overwhelming. It's very, very powerful. It's very interesting.
And could you tell me some of who were the individuals that helped to teach you and guided you through this process in learning how to make the retablos?
Absolutely. I was blessed to be part of this organization, which is CHAC Gallery. Here in Colorado, we have a handful of working Santeros who do this form of art form. My maestro is our senior Santero, Ronn Miera. This is him right here. If you want to come join us, Mr. Ronn Miera. And he's been doing it quite some time, and he has been able to teach us about the younger generations, because this form of art is it's passed down through word, and to perhaps individuals like Ronn, teach young Hispanic men like myself who are native to this region, and to have pride in this our faith and our art, and to have him pass down the traditions, the old pigments, and the old traditional styles. It's a blessing, and I'm forever thankful to my older generations.
And he's a good learner too.
Well, would you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Ronn Miera, and I'm a Santero. I've been a Santero for 22 years now. And I do the traditional and a little bit of contemporary also. Mostly the traditional retablos, the santos, the bultos, and little straw applique also.
And where did you learn from?
Just like Sean had sort of mentioned, it's not written in a book anywhere. You got to learn it from other Santeros. It's a tradition that's passed down from person to person, from generation to generation. I was lucky enough to start when I started studying my genealogy. My 7th grade grandfather was Captain Don Bernardo Miera y Pacheco. He was one of the very earliest Santeros in New Mexico. And from studying him and his artwork, which is still in churches in New Mexico, I was able to get influenced by him and also other Santeros into doing the artwork.
And do you both have any sort of roots in New Mexico or Southern Colorado? Or I was wondering where you picked this up, or how did the folks that you learned from, where were they from geographically?
One of the masters that I learned from was Carlos Santisteban. He's here in Denver. So I learned a lot from him, and also from people in New Mexico like Charlie Carrillo, Ben Ortega, other Santeros who also, when you go to the markets, when you talk to other Santeros, you got to learn firsthand, where did you get this green? They would tell me where they got the green from. That's when I would have to go out into the field and get the green. So same thing that I passed on to Sean, is that a lot of the pigments that we use here in colorful Colorado, we can find everywhere. Red Rocks, Garden of the Gods. There's plenty of pigments and everything around that we use.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you said that you have roots to Southern Colorado.
Oh yeah, Southern Colorado. Well, myself, I'm 3rd generation born and raised in Denver myself on my dad's side. But on my mother's side, we come from Southern Colorado in Pueblo and northern New Mexico, Peña Blanca area. So, like Ron had mentioned, it's all about connecting with your genealogy and your past, and it makes it that much more intimate and so much more special. You have that connection when you make each carving, each time you make a batch of gesso, each time you make a pigment. That you think of your ancestors, you think of your genealogy, you think of I think sometimes the now younger generations tend to put that on the back burner, especially in our Hispanic community. But it's important, and it makes sense to it in a lot of ways. And to put that into retablos into this art form is just something very unique. And it's when it's part of you, when the land is part of you, it makes it all that much more special.
My dad is from Taos. He was from Taos, New Mexico. And I still got a lot of relations out there in Taos. And also, my mother was from southern Colorado, from Chama, Red Wing area. So what I like about that is that the piñon set that I use for my varnish is from the ranch where my mom was from. So, I'm able to use some of the materials that's from where she was at.
Oh, this is really great to hear. I actually heard you while speaking that there are particular identifying markers that you put in your retablos. Is there some way that you put your own identity or your own background into the retablos? For instance, the one right here behind you, Ron, you said that there was a particular item that was from...
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So this is San Pascual. He's a patron saint of cooks, but I like to see him just as another friend, another servant to the church, and I like to cook myself. But this actually particular stove right here is my great-grandmother's stove that we had, that she used to cook tortillas on in Peña Blanca, New Mexico, and it's still in our house right here in Denver. And it's just, I use it as a model because when you go about how you're inspired by your surroundings and your things that your family, and we have this, and I thought it was just so special. My grandmother was raised cooking food on this. My mother was raised. My great-grandmother. It's very special. It's very unique. And that's how I represent that. And it's the little clock right down here. It's very unique because it's obviously the stove is 150 years old. My great-grandmother's stove, and it stopped at 3 o'clock, which is the time of Christ's death.
Wow.
So it's very special. So that's why I put that on there as well.
Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Ron, would you mind sharing a little bit of your work so we can see?
Okay. Yeah. Well, for this year, every year when I do the Guadalupe show, I try to do a different image of Guadalupe and different mediums. One year I did it on skateboards. This year I tried doing it in the monochromatic tones. I've got two of them here, one in blue and one in red. The red one really took me a long time. It was a really hard piece to do, but I love doing it. What I love about this piece, though, is that the pink on here is actually roses that was used in Las Mañanitas at our church several years ago. After all the events and everything was done, I went and asked them for some of the roses, and they gave me a whole bunch of roses. And since I use the natural pigments, roses, I use the pink from the roses in this retablo. So it's not only of a Guadalupe, but it has the roses from Las Mañanitas on it. So that's what I love doing. And then this one is the blue. And these are all traditional pigments. They're all traditional and natural. I got indigos on here, a little Prussian blue. On this one I got cochineal, which is the darker one. We got red beets, the roses. I got Brazil wood. Everything is handmade and natural. And that's what I've been passing on to Sean, is how to do this. How do we pass on the tradition about making the retablos? It's not just about carving, but it's also about the whole process of making the pigments, so that it becomes not just something that's store-bought, not an acrylic, but something that's handmade. So.
And are those ones on the bottom as well yours?
Yeah. This is St. Joseph, San Jose, the Sagrada Familia, and then we got San Antonio de Padua and San Francisco hanging out there in the corner. What I like about this one of the Sagrada Familia is that I put on here a prayer that's said in the Brotherhood of the Penitentes. As soon as you enter into a morada, you would say this prayer. And it's an answered prayer, and it's also found in the Cathedral of Santa Fe in the side altar. They now have that prayer on there also. So this is a very important prayer to most of the Hispanics in southern Colorado and New Mexico. That's why I love to incorporate it into the retablo.
Great, thank you both very much. So do you do workshops here at CHAC with other youth, or?
Oh yes, that's absolutely. So what we do over here at the organization, we service almost about 8,000 at-risk youth in the city and county of Denver, the greater Denver area. We focus primarily on Hispanic, Chicano, Latino culture. So each aspect of the culture. And Ron and myself, we teach on our Santos. And we teach, local students about the tradition behind the Santos and how that's rooted in our history, in our lineage here in Colorado and New Mexico. So, and it's very strong here in Colorado, and the students here love to learn about that. So, it's very interesting how we're blessed, to be able to provide a service like that. It's very rewarding.
Great. Well, thank you both very much for sharing your time with the Smithsonian Latino Virtual Museum. We really appreciate it. And definitely continue to share your stories, be it through this art form, as well as you can share your stories on the Smithsonian Latino Virtual Museum website. Thank you
very
both.
much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.